Hey, guess who's back? It's the Woods Collab, and we're here with another episode from the Woods Collab podcast. It's my partner right here.
Keisha Woods.
I'm Mike Woods, and we are
Partner
the
in
Woods.
crime.
Partner in crime. Yes. So we're back with another episode from the Woods Collab podcast. Today we're here. We're going to hit you real quick, talk about goal setting, going after goals, things you can do to go after and pursue and accomplish all those goals. How about that?
Yeah, I love that. And Mike's being modest here, but last week he finished up his master's in organizational leadership. So, woo! So if you wonder where have we been, this guy has been studying and doing a lot of capstone work. So here we are. We're back.
We've been going after goals. So thank you for that. Shout out to you. Shout out to me.
I want to thank me, like Snoop Dogg says.
Yeah, so that was cool, but we're gonna take some of that journey and apply it here in this conversation here. So you all stay tuned. So we're gonna talk about a few things to get you wrapped up so you can go after your goals too. Keep going after your goals. So with that, we're gonna talk about three things. We're gonna talk about first identifying what those goals are. We're gonna talk about prioritizing those goals, and then three, we're gonna talk about how we could break those goals into small chunks so that we could then be more efficient and seamless in going after it and accomplishing it. Cool?
Cool.
Let's go after goals. So number one is identifying the goals.
Yeah.
So when we have a goal, just like you talked about with me with school, I had to first identify what that thing is that I want to accomplish. So visualize it, picture it, be specific about what that thing is that you want to do. Think about why you want to accomplish that. Think about how it looks. Think about how much time you want to dedicate it to it. Think about if it don't go your way, is that something that you really committed to? Just really identify specifically what that thing is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that a lot of times people think that if you're goal focused, you have to write it down and it has to be smart. You have to be able to measure it and all the tactics have to be figured out. And I'm not really big on necessarily writing down my goals. Now, if I do a vision board, that's one thing. But I'm bigger with telling someone about them. So if I have a goal to do something, I'm going to tell you because you're going to hold me accountable to it. And I'm like, oh crap, I did tell Mike I wasn't going to eat a whole cake today. I'm working on my fitness goals. And so you'll be like, put the cake down, right? So,
wow.
So accountability is huge for me. But yeah, I think you can identify it, but it doesn't have to be in a formal format where you write it in a journal and you have these points, because if that works for you, that works for you. But if you are very focused on your goal and you know how to prioritize it and you are comfortable with that and just maybe telling a friend, I think that works.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like you said to customize it to how it works for you. So like even with the vision boards, I know we didn't do one this year, but we did the vision boards last year, and I still have some things carried over. So I have my vision board still up, and that works for me. Some it may be if you write it in your heart, that might be how it resonates with you. Just think about those things that are important to you, and what do you do to hold yourself accountable for it. You might write it on an envelope, you might write it in a journal, might write it in a notepad, like you mentioned. You might just tell other people about it, but do whatever it takes in order for it to stick for you if it's important. So then after you've identified what that thing is, this is something that you're committed to. You know you want to do it. You know you're not going to let it go regardless of the roadblocks or the obstacles that come your way. It's time to prioritize it. So talk to us a bit about prioritizing that goal, prioritizing that thing that we know we want to accomplish.
Yeah, I think that it's quite natural to want to do things and want to accomplish things in life. But really prioritizing it for me means, okay, so what does this look like in my life? When do I feel that this is the time for me to focus all of my energy on it? So for me, I mean, you know, I took quite a few years of my life studying Spanish in school, and I always wanted to become fluent in Spanish. But for me, that's a life goal. And so with it being a life goal, then God willing, in the next, maybe when I retire, I'll learn Spanish, right? Or maybe I'll push that up a little sooner, but it's not something that I'm actively pursuing at this moment. And so there may be other things, like I mentioned the cake situation, but focusing on my fitness is something that is like a daily goal, or something that I think about, okay, this morning I want to make sure that I'm eating well. I want to make sure that I work out. I want to make sure that I don't get the cake, right? Now I want cake. That's so weird.
You should go get cake.
I know that is not what we're talking about.
Let's prioritize
No.
the cake.
So sometimes things could be a daily goal that you focus your energy and efforts on in a particular day, depending on how important it is for the moment. And then some goals are goals that maybe you can put off a little bit longer, but it's on more so of your bucket list. So kind of identifying like where it falls. And maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Maybe like for you is to obtain your master's degree in a 2-year span. That falls somewhere in the middle. So really just be clear on where it is, because if you focus on everything at the same time, that could be very overwhelming.
Yeah, that's true. And by prioritizing it, just like you mentioned the cake, and I think that's a good, I think we should have cake today. I think that's something we should have today. I think actually I just prioritized cake for us for today. But I think if it's something that you're truly committed to, it's important to prioritize it, because otherwise other things would take precedence over
for
it.
Sure.
So that's a good tactic. So then the third one is to consider breaking those tactics down into small chunks. So with the example of me in school, I had to do quite a bit of writing. I did quite a bit of writing. And overall, it wasn't too bad. You might have a 15, 20-page paper to do. So what I had to do for me, you like to write, and you can write a lot faster than I can. I like to write when I like to write, not when I necessarily have to write. So I was able to break the writing. Let's say if I had a 20-page paper to do, looking at a 20-page paper might have been overwhelming. So if we look at any type of personal, it could be a fitness, improving your health, improving your weight, or going after some promotion at work, whatever the case may be. We could break those things down in small chunks. So with the paper example, instead of looking at this big 20-page paper, I might say, wow, this 20-page paper is going to take me forever to do, because just sitting down and writing isn't my thing if I don't want to write. So what I was able to do, I was able to take that 20-page paper and then break it down into small chunks. So if I said, okay, 20 pages total, I don't know, there's been papers that are way more than 20 pages, but I might say the introduction, that's 1 or 2 pages right there. Then I say my conclusion, that's another 1 or 2 pages right there. So now I just got these small pages. So then if I look at the body, at a minimum, the body of my paper is going to be a minimum of 3 topics. That's a few more pages right there. And then in those 3 topics, I could break each topic down to other small papers. So then instead of this big old 20-page paper, I just got a bunch of small 1 or 2-page papers. So that helped me from a mental standpoint to break that ultimate goal to finish the paper down into small chunks by saying, hey, let's run at these little papers. And we could apply that same concept if it's fitness. We talk about health journey. Someone wants to lose a bunch of weight. Instead of looking at losing all of the weight, maybe look at, say, okay, let's focus on 1 pound at a time. And then over time, you will look back and say, wow, look at all I've accomplished.
Yeah, it's also, you call it small chunks, but it's also referred to as like micro changes. And it could be, how do you use a micro change to get started, right? Because I think sometimes, where do I start? That's the part that's overwhelming for a lot of people.
Right.
And so if we were to use the fitness analogy again, it could be you just buy workout gear, right? You buy some workout gear. And then the next micro change that you do might be get up, set your alarm, get up at a certain time and put it on. And start to condition your body to say, okay, I'm wearing the gear. I'm up 30 minutes early. Didn't work out today. I did go get that cake, but I'm making these micro changes in the way that I want to go towards my goal. And then make another micro change. So now you're moving in the direction of, okay, you go to the gym. Okay, if you go to the gym and you just hang out, then that's on you. But the goal is maybe you work out 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you continue to build it. So to your point with the small chunks, is also referred to as micro changes, and it's just focusing on what's in front of you. And I know we've talked a lot about being mindful and being present. I think it helps you to think about what's in front of you versus allowing a lot of noise to cloud your judgment and really distract you from your goal.
That's true. That's a fact. And we could also take that, we could apply it in that same philosophy in a business setting as well. So you may go into, let's think big. You may want to run your own business, or you may want to run it more efficiently or effectively. Or you may say, how can I be a better leader? How can I get into leadership? Maybe I want to be vice president or president of some arm of a business or of a business, period. You could take and use those small chunks or those micro changes and use that to your advantage. Maybe say, here's the goal that I want to accomplish. Maybe it's title, maybe it's something else. And then look and examine what are some qualifications that you think will be appropriate for that position. You may say the ability to execute. You may say the ability to communicate. You may say the ability to motivate or build morale. And then you could take those chunks, say if it's the ability to execute, how can you work on the ability to execute? So instead of looking at it, and you can still visualize, of course, that long-term thing that you want to do, but maybe break it down into those small chunks along the way. Then next thing you know, you look up, you're in a better position for that opportunity.
Yeah, and then the last thing I would add is just make sure that you have a good support system, people that will hold you accountable, people to help motivate you. In your school journey, you kind of propped me out for, or at least I think you did. I hope you did.
I propped you out.
Propped me out for the support, because at the end of the day, when you are spending more time, studying and reading and reviewing, there's a support system that's there to help you so that you can, when you're thinking that you want to drop out. Mike laughs at me because he says that I waited till like the second from last class to cry and say I wanted to quit. It was a finance class, so if you don't like math, you know where I'm going. And so he was able to pick me up literally off the floor and say, get your life together. You got one class left. So having that group of people who are your cheerleaders who can say, hey, remember, this is your why. This is why you decided that this is what you want to do. This is what the finish line looks like. This is how far the finish line is if you stay focused, and kind of like push you and guide you in that direction is hugely important. And if you don't see it like around you, find it, seek it out. Find someone who is, I call them support groups, but find a support group or a team of people who are maybe pursuing the same type of education you're pursuing, or the same type of job position or title that you're pursuing, so that you can have that cheerleader.
Love it. Let's go after those goals.
All righty. All right, so we are the Woods Collab. So we're going to do a quick recap for you. So we want to make sure that we're identifying those goals. Understand your why you're identifying those goals, because those are the things that are going to help you when things get tough, because you remember why it was important to you. And then once you've identified and thought about the why, then you can prioritize it and really think about, well, where does this fall in my life right now? Is this something that I want to spend my energy on day to day? Or is this something I want to do in my lifetime? And really finding out if it's somewhere in between. And then making sure that you're focusing on, don't overwhelm yourself with the fact that you want to accomplish it. Sometimes people call it boiling the ocean. So you do not want to boil the ocean. You want to make sure that you're focused on the thing in front of you and being mindful, so that you can have those small chunks and those micro changes to get you to where you want to go. All right, so it has been fun. I have missed you all. So this has been a great opportunity for us to come back. We are the Woods Collab. Check us out.